All right, we're back. Thank you again so much for tuning in to yet another live broadcast. I'm going a little bit later than I wanted to today. Man, I had a ton of stuff I was doing today as this weekend. Like I said, it just seemed like it never stops. But sometimes you got to make it stop just for a little bit. And that we did today. But you know, then you just get right back into doing the things you need to do. So anyway, so we got a full broadcast for you today. We're going to talk about, of course, as you know, war has happened. We're yet in another war. Yet again, the United States has poked itself into yet another situation. They've been drumming this up for a long time, so none of us should be surprised. And of course, the aftermath stuff that we told you that was going to happen because they have been telling us it was going to happen. And that was that shooting that we just heard about today down in Texas. And, you know, the very convenient signages and stuff that was used during that time. So yeah, they've given us the cliff notes, and it's really, you don't have to be a mind reader to look at the stuff as is and call it out for what it is. But we're going to look at it anyway today. We're also going to look at this, the whole thing regarding the NAACP awards. You know, you don't really, I really care less. I really don't care at all. How about that? Maybe let me correct myself. When it comes to the NAACP, the Congressional Black Caucus, because if you're a follower of this channel, we have looked at their origin stories and all of that. And at the end of the day, they're full of boule people who really do not care about the greater black population. They've been given an assignment to do one particular task, and they stick to it. It's just as very simple as that. But for those of you who may not know their history, I'm just going to make it real short for you, NAACP, because that's going to be important as we look at this award show that they had. What was it, yesterday? I guess it was. And there was some things that took place there. And we're going to talk about it. And it's just a big whatever to me as far as I'm concerned. Let me take a look at my notes. We have... Oh, and we're going to look at black politicians. I'm going to give you some history of some very well-known politicians, black politicians. I don't think you guys knew about this stuff, but we're going to talk about it tonight. I was going to post it on the community page, but I said, you know what? I'll just wait until I do a live broadcast. And then I got some video clips of black folks who are actually seeing what stuff really is, and they're calling this stuff out with these black politicians, which is always very encouraging. It's encouraging because you and I, we're not the only ones. There are many black folks whose eyes are opening, their ears are being opened, and they're seeing what's going on. So glad to be in good company this evening. And again, thank you so much for joining us. And a big shout out to Willie in the house as always. Really appreciate you, bro. And also Deborah Jefferson in the house as always. Appreciate you. Let's go ahead and put some music on here. We're going to give it about a minute. And then after that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump right in and we're going to get started. So let's go ahead and let's go.
Yeah. Right away.
We got Jennifer Young in the house as always. Appreciate you too, sis.
With you when the world slowed down. Healing herbs when hope ran out. From our natural medicine cabinet to your door. Loving the roots, that's what we're here for. Yeah. It's not just orders, it's hearts we serve. We pour our love in every herb. When you need a little light to see, you can always lean on somebody. Protect your peace, let your spirit flow. Stop the cycle, let the sickness go. We love to teach what we know and grow. You're part of the forest that helps samba tree to grow. Samba tree to grow.
All right, another 20 seconds and we're going to get started.
Healing begins right here at home. It's okay to take time for your soul. When show and care. Yeah, yeah.
All right. Again, thank you so much for tuning in to this broadcast. It is Sunday night, March the 1st. February is history, y'all. No more February. It's all gone. It'll never be another February 2026. We're done. It's over with. So good to have you guys here tonight. And I hope you guys had a great weekend, a great Sunday. It was in the 90s here in Arizona. I don't know what it's like in your neck of the woods, but I'm sure in most parts of the country, if you're not here in the West, I'm sure it was a little bit on the cooler side, cooler than 90 degrees. I mean, I saw people today in their swimming pools, everything else, and it's just, I was like, wow, this is really, really something. And yes, I wore shorts today. It took me a minute, because I was like, I'm still learning. I'm like, man, wearing shorts in February, it just, even when I was in Florida, like, because Florida can be warm too, it's got that weather. And it took me a minute to adjust to that. I guess in my roots, I'm always a Northeasterner, you know what I mean? And so I'm always like, no, it's short season when it turns in May, you know what I mean? Something like that. But nah, man, no, sir. 90 degrees, you can't, I can't do it. I can't do it. We already have our AC on, and I saw someone today, they had wearing sweatpants. I don't know how y'all do it. I don't know how you do it. It's hot. Now that's 90 degrees right now, but come later on in this season, give it another couple of months when we start getting to the hundreds out here, whereas in the hundreds every day, we're going to be looking back at these days and like, man, it was cool back then. But such is the life here in sunny Arizona. But I'm also glad that you guys are here. So anyway, so real quick, let's go ahead. And what we do is always we give a big shout to all of our favorite people on here, that the ones that are known and the ones that say silent. We really appreciate you guys so much. We really do. And then always too, just real quick, we're just going to swing through Samba Tree just for a minute, y'all. Don't run. You're like, oh, I'm going to come back when he's over this part. Just hang around, please. Just a moment, y'all. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this. But anyway, because I do want you to know that we just dropped our own coffee line, y'all. Our own coffee line. So I don't know where you buy coffee from, but you now have another option. You have another option where you can buy coffee from Samba Tree. And we got a whole line of coffee here that we are now making available for you. And the great thing about it is that you buy 2, you get free shipping. 2 or more, you get free shipping. All right. So we got coffee and all kind of flavors. You could check it out on your own. And then the other thing too is, we dropped our supplement line. We expanded it. We've always had supplements, natural supplements, but we expanded it now. Now we've expanded it. So you could take a look at this at your own leisure. Likewise too, if you buy 2 or more, it is free shipping for supplements as well. I just want to, take this time too, and then you could check out the rest of the site. But again, as a growing business, we're small but growing business. I want to give a big shout out to you, our family at Samba Tree. We really appreciate you guys, because as a small but growing business, there's a lot of challenges. I'm telling you, there's a lot of challenges, and the amount of days that you wake up and you're like, okay, am I going to continue to do this? Is this even worth it? And all of that. I'm telling you, we have a good part of my life. I have gone through that, the ups and downs and all of that. And as a business owner, I'm not here to be up here telling you like, okay, well, today we're dealing with this. Well, tomorrow we're going to be dealing with this. You don't do that. Okay. Because if I go into any business, any store, right, you're going in there to get your product and keep it moving, right? You ain't going there to hear my stuff, right? So as a business owner, I got to make sure that I'm straight. You know what I'm saying? When we're dealing with our people, I got to make sure that I'm straight, and whatever I got going on, that's in the back. You know what I mean? But our responsibility is to make sure that we are prioritizing you, and we're making sure that we're getting things out the way we're supposed to. And like I said, again, we have our little blips from time to time, but our commitment to you has not changed. It really hasn't. And so when we say that you guys are family, we really do mean that. We really do mean that, because our thing is we want to treat people the way we would like to be treated. Okay, so that's kind of our thing. So one of the changes we've been able to make is now we're starting to improve on our shipping time. So with those two things I just mentioned, like that coffee line, and also the supplement line, both of those, when you order, it almost immediately gets into shipping. It's packaged and then immediately gets shipping. So give it about 24, 48 hours, you'll get your notification and it goes right out. Okay. So we're at a place where we can now start tightening up some things even more. So again, thanks to you guys. We really appreciate your patience. And then as time goes on, we're going to be able to get to some of those other areas too, and be able to tighten those screws up there, and there. And that's where we can become even better for you. So make sure you check us out over at sambatree.com. All right. So thank you so much. So make sure you check that out. Someone said they're interested in the pearl powder. Well, the pearl powder is interested in you. And so you can go over there and check it out. But anyway, let's get in. Oh, did you guys check out our animation? I told you, I checked out, I was on TikTok and I came across this, I don't know who it was, but they were doing these animations. I played around with it before, right? But I didn't really give it too much time. And I've seen people, you guys seen all the AI animations that people have done, right? It's all over the place now that anybody can access it, right? And, so I played around and I was like, man, this would be really neat if I could I could do this or that or whatever. But man, I'm doing a lot of other things. So as much as I love writing and creating stories and things like that, I said, I get to it when I get to it. But anyway, this weekend, this guy, I want to say, think of the Boondocks, but it's like an updated version of the Boondocks. I wish I could play it, one of them for you, but I'm afraid if I play it, then he might, I don't know, may get taken off. I don't know. So I don't know. And the thing is, I be doing these folks favors. I'm like, man, I'm trying to promote you. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, it's this guy, he did one. It was so good. Man, should I? You know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it because I don't think his stuff is copyrighted. I'm promoting him. And so y'all know how I do. When I come across somebody that I think is doing something pretty nice and we need to check it out and we need to, support and all of that, I'm always about that. So anything, if YouTube, what they'll do is they'll probably give me a notification and say, hey, listen, you got to take that down or whatever. So whatever. So we're going to take the chance tonight. Okay. Cause I really want y'all to see this. This is Sunday and, we're getting ready for the next, for the week and all of that. And I wanted y'all to, check out some things too. You ain't going to just hear me running my mouth all night. Let me see if I can find this. It's right here. I just moved it over. Oh, here it is. And at the end, how TikTok does, it will have the person's TikTok page or whatever. Just take note of that and go check them out, follow them. Okay. So with that being said, let me go ahead and play this video. I thought it was really, really good. Check it out. Okay. Let's go ahead and bring it on and I'll be right back.
Drew more profits. He once ran a record label, a successful failure. When the rappers quit the streets, Drew More Profits picked up the pulpit. And since then, he built ministries, bought blessings, funded bodies, and multiplied profits. Welcome.
Before we start today's sermon, I've been hearing y'all whispering about my wife. She wore this see-through dress because she wanted to show y'all what God blessed her with. He said, come as you are, so she came thick as hell. These butt cheeks, blessed by the Lord himself. Can I get an amen? It's now time for the miracles. Come up front if you need a blessing today.
Pastor, I owe that bitch Sally Mae 100 bands.
So you broke.
Get back, demon! Don't you ever bring broke energy to my church. These blessings cost. My pastor got faith! Next miracle. Young lady been blind her whole life. Blindness, be gone!
Oh my God! I can see!
I'm white.
No, I thought I was black!
You Caucasian!
I need you to take the Wyan out of him.
Demon, be gone!
Granny, I'm sorry for giving you them sleeping pills so I could take your Hellcat. I'm a changed man.
Will we do it? Hallelujah! Somebody bless his name! It's time to tie! Last service, we raised $4 million. This time, the Lord told me 10. That's just $1,000 per person. Ushers, lock the doors. I'm feeling. I know the Lord gonna bless us. I feel the money coming. I feel the money coming. Woo, coming, yes, Lord. I don't know who y'all think I am. I ain't one of these other pastors. When I say 10 million, I mean 10. Not 4, not 5, not 6. All y'all gave me was $6 million. So now I gotta motivate. Anybody who ain't give $1,000, you getting taken out back. And you getting the special Kool-Aid. After that, you gonna give way more than 1,000. I'll be back in 30 minutes for my money.
Kill him! He's taking our money and trying to give us that Diddy
You can't kill me in church. That's against your code.
This ain't a church. This is a Forex festival, using the word instead of stocks.
Don't ever poison the juice.
We get our money back?
Yep. Service over.
Don't you love? Oh man. And it's I don't know if it's one or two guys or whatever, but they're on TikTok. Go check out their page, man. That, oh my gosh. It's like boom, 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 boom. I every now and then you come across a page on. I'm rarely on TikTok. You know, I'll throw things on there every now and then, but I don't know. I just kind of lost touch with TikTok. I've tried, and it just whatever. It's a little bit too much. But when I do go on it, you know, every now and then I'll come across a page, and you know, and I'll find one, and I just sit there and literally look at all the videos. That one right there is just one of many. I would definitely encourage you, go check it out. And I just thought it was very good. But anyway, that inspired me. And I was like, man, what if, you know, that's all, it always starts with me. And then next thing I know, I'm sitting here writing out scripts, and then like I already know the tools, you know, which tools to use and all of that stuff. And then I get to work, you know. And so yeah, so that's not something that I'm probably going to be doing every day, because it does take some time or whatever, but it is something that you probably will be seeing a lot more of on this platform, where, you know, it's just very short and to the point and all of that. I just uploaded I uploaded a video yesterday, so check that out on our shorts. Now, if you didn't see the one that I did today, I know I just uploaded that one. Let me play that one for you. And let me see if I can pull it up for you right quick. Give me just a moment here. And I'm going to play that one for you. And tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. Okay, here it is. Let me go ahead and drop this in. And yeah, I think this is good. I think this is good. Let's go. It seems like you guys really enjoyed that first animation that we did, and we're just going to keep it going there based on your feedback. So in this episode, we're going to learn about the history of Natural Corp. I hope you guys enjoy it. If it's something that you really enjoy, let me know in the comments, but also share it to tell other people about it as well, okay? And if you have any other ideas for any future episodes, put it in the comments below. All right, let's get to this episode.
Let me tell you how NAACP got its start, in case some of you have forgotten our roots. As you know, my great-grandfather owned a lot of land and workers. He watched over them from the saddle, proud of the rows they filled, certain the sun would never set on his harvest.
Despite them not having access to the same doctors his family had, many of them knew how to make their own medicine.
With their knowledge of the forest, they turned scraps into meals better than what my own family could make. My great-grandfather saw an opportunity, but he needed some assurances. Men created something called the Black Codes, where these people were not permitted to live off the land. He made a choice. He rolled up his sleeves and we took the sickles ourselves. We harvested the crop. And then he did something to increase shelf life. We added processed sugar and salt. A lot of it. So, naturally, we provided a solution. We called it health care. Now we just find an uncle or auntie type and put their face on the label. Same ingredients.
Family, it is time that we start taking back control of our health and wellness.
I think it's time for us to do this.
All right. So there you go. There you go, y'all, and I'm just going to, for me, I'm just going to max it out. I'm going to max it out, whatever tools or whatever I got available, whatever things I'm able to do, I'm just going to do it all. I'm going to do is whatever I can, and that's it. My foot is the pedals to the metal, basically, and this, even though I'm the age where I am right now, I'm not slowing down. I'm not slowing down. I ain't stopping at all. I'm just going to do whatever little thoughts or ideas. I'm just going to say, well, you know what? Let me at least try it. Let me just see what happens. That's what I'm going to do. And so, so we're going to be doing that. I think that will be a great tool, a great vehicle to really, because we're going to start steering in, those different messages where we'll start talking about different herbs and talking about the history of it and all of that. And I'll add a little drama or whatever with NAACP coming in and doing this or that. They messing with our YouTube numbers and all that stuff. So it'll be some drama and all that in there too. But at the same time, it's a vehicle to get people interested and seeing the value of, man, listen, we need to be getting our health and wellness together. So so we'll be doing that, and like I said, the technical part of me, I'm looking at it like, man, okay, I could have edited this, I could cut this and that or whatever, but I'm working with limitations on some of those tools, but hey, we're gonna keep hitting it. So anyway, really appreciate that, and just wanted to share that with you. And like I said, we got a lot more things going on. Okay, let's move on here. Let's talk about something here. This is a conversation that we've had for quite some time on this platform, and really trying to get people to think about, because a lot of times we say things and we don't really process what we're saying. So when we say the words community or the Black community, right? Or just community, let's just look at the words community for a moment. The word community basically means common union, right? Common union, that's what it means. And so I wanted to challenge our viewers and say, is there really a Black community? Is there a common union when it comes to the Black community? Now, there are things that we could say that we are unified with. There's certain things we can look at, certain cultural practices and traditions and, words that we say, some of the slang and stuff that we use. Yeah, there's some unity amongst those things. But when it comes to some of those deeper issues, right? You know what I mean? What is family? What does family look like? Are we, is it just whatever we just decided it is, or is there any kind of foundational belief in what family is supposed to look like? And is there a true blue system in place within community where if pieces are missing in other families, do other people come in? Is there a component within the common unity where there is self-care, where self-care is prioritized? You know what I mean? And the list goes on, right? When it comes to this idea of common unity. And what we're finding is because of a number of things, right? The breakdown of the family, thanks in large part to how the government has pushed itself within our common unity space. We're finding that what we call community or the Black community is constantly being redefined into other things, and things that we used to consider being dysfunctional or counterproductive. Now, all of a sudden, we're normalizing it. You understand what I'm saying? And so that's what I'm talking about. So I'm always wanting to challenge you and myself as well on, are we being a little bit too loose when we say, yeah, I'm part of the Black community? Because there are people, that they may look like you, but because your standards are a little bit different, you would never associate with them. You understand what I'm saying? You just wouldn't. You may look the same. You both may be Black or whatever, but you wouldn't be caught dead with some of these people. It isn't because you hate their skin color. It's because your value system is a little different. But we've grown to be very skeptical of people who think that way. I'm talking about within what we call the Black community space. Because if your value system is different, then you're not Black. You know what I mean? Let me give you an example. There's a video that I came across. Did I download it? No, but I did save it. So let me get this for you. I forgot all about this video. I forgot all about this thing that they're talking about in this video. Let me bring it up for you. Whitney Houston, when she was around. Now, this video, I don't know. Hopefully they will not give me any problems with this video, but this particular video, it's talking about a time when Whitney Houston was being treated a certain way by the Black community. I didn't know this. I do remember it vaguely, I guess, but I never paid it no mind because, Whitney Houston, man, that girl can always sing. I ain't never had any issues with Whitney Houston. Then when she got hooked with Bobby Brown, that's when I was like, yeah, let me leave her alone because whatever. But then I found out later it was actually, she was the one that was breaking in some of that influence, But yeah, that was just, anyway, we're not going to get into that. But anyway, let me play for you this video here. And this kind of sets us up as we're getting into talking about the NAACP and their nonsense, right? But just give me I came across this video. I said, you know what, let me play this video. I thought this was one I actually, like I said, again, I forgot about this. So let's take a look. And yeah, take a look at that. Yeah, this is Al Sharpton. This is Albert Sharpton. They had a boycott against Whitney Houston. This is the same Al Sharpton that you see on MSNBC claiming to speak for all Black folks. And it's something how people forget about these things. I know I told you I forgot about it. But anyway, take a look.
Al Sharpton, he's out protesting with signs in front of the hotel saying, Whitey Whitney.
At first, she thought he was saying Whitney Houston. She couldn't connect it until, it was really brought to her attention. No, he's calling you Whitey.
What is the deal in the past when you've had the friction at the Soul Train Awards?
They booed me at the Soul Train Awards.
Yeah, and I'm not exactly sure. You can't ask a whole crowd, what was that about?
Yeah, I want to say that and some other things, but...
The nominees for Best R&B Urban Contemporary Single by a Female are...
Oh, no, they're going to break up. I got to take it. Hold on.
She said to me, it would be one thing if they were booing me because they didn't like the way I sing, Aunt Bay. She said, but they were booing me for something altogether different. And I think it goes back to her childhood when she was being bullied in school.
I'm singing music from my heart, from my soul, and that's it.
Ain't that something? I vaguely remember that. Said fair use. I don't even know they even care about that, man. I wish they did. Anyway, I vaguely remember that. I vaguely remember that. I don't remember the booing part. I definitely don't recall that right now. But I vaguely remember how there were black folks that were like, weren't really trying to check for her because, you know, they were saying that she sound too white. Now, these are black folks saying this, okay? This wasn't white people saying this. This was black folks saying this. And then, of course, you know, years go by. The woman, you know, meets an untimely death. And then now, all of a sudden, she's queen, and that's our sister, and you know she's FBA and all. Everybody wants to claim her now. But isn't that something? But that's black folks for you. I mean, they black folks will do stuff like that. It's something. And so I brought that up because it now brings us to the NAACP. NAACP, they had their image awards. You know, NAACP, they have their image awards, and they time it around the same time Mr. Charlie has his awards as well, because it's a Me Too awards. It's always been that. So let's just cut the BS, okay? It ain't anything really special. It really isn't. Maybe at one time it was, but it really isn't. Because I think if it was, it would have been set at a time that's set apart from all these other things, right? And all these other award shows. So they like, okay, we got this one here, you got that award here, you got that award here, we got the black one here, and all of that. And, you know, and so the NAACP Image Awards, it's basically the award show to give everyone that is in contention to the Academy Awards to make sure you give them a trophy. Am I lying? I mean, I'm telling you the truth. That's really what it's for. And everybody knows this. It's the Consolation Prize Award. It's basically, if you black and Mr. Charlie likes you, we just want to make sure we give you an award so that you at least get something. And that's how I've always seen it. And to be honest with you, there are a lot of other black folks in those circles. That's how they see it. It's just an opportunity for them to get dressed and look nice and all of that. And that's it. I mean, so who are we kidding ourselves? I mean, how many people you know, honestly, how many people you know actually wake up and say, I can't wait until the Image Awards, NAACP Image Awards? When I was living out in LA, all the trade magazines, you know, if you're in the industry and all of that, the billboards, I've never seen them mention anything about NAACP Image Awards. All the ads and stuff I used to see, it was always for your consideration. It was always for like the Oscars or maybe for, you know, some of these other shows. It was never really, I never saw anything for the NAACP Image Awards. I mean, can we be honest for a second? Let me be honest. Can we be honest about that? It's not, yeah, like she said it's like the participation award. That's really what it is. Like that movie, that show on Disney, Ironheart. I didn't watch it. I've heard mixed reviews about it. There was just certain clips I saw and it was enough for me. I said, I ain't watching that. You know, do I like seeing black people playing superheroes and stuff? Absolutely, I do. Absolutely. But let them be their own character. Don't play the black version of somebody else. Like it was a line in Ironheart. That's the young black girl who basically she got some equipment from Tony Stark. And so she's like the black version of Iron Man, but she's a woman. And on her team, of course, she got some trannies and, you know, it's the full spectrum. You know, that's what they got. You know what I mean? You know, they're going to have that. And so once I saw where they were going with that, I was like, I don't even want to see it. I don't want to see it. Now, you do have some, what I did, with that animation. Now, that's AI. Okay, so, I could write the story, but as far as the animation, big shout out to all our black animators out there who've been putting in real work for years, and doing the whole thing, right? So I tend to skew that way if, for real, looking for black superhero shows or cartoons. Like I just started looking at, what was it? Static Shock. Static Shock. I had to go back and look at that again. So I've been looking at some of them old, the shows of Static Shock. I really like that. I really like that cartoon. I really like that cartoon. And I remember I saw a documentary on the history of it and all that stuff. So Static Shock, man, I absolutely loved that one. That was cool. Anyway, so you saw that Whitney Houston and okay. So now, real quick here, let me switch over to this other video here, because this is really going to set us up for understanding the NAACP and their foundation. And then once we understand that, then we could talk about Deon Cole and his whatever it was he did, his performance at this recent NAACP Image Award. So I talked about this many times on this platform, but in case you don't know, here's a quick overview of the NAACP and their foundation. Let's take a listen. Now, he is credited for being a leader of pushing these anti-lynching laws. Joel E. Spingarn. Joel Spingarn. I'm telling you, this is him right here. All right. This is the guy right here. Now, he is credited for being a leader of pushing these anti-lynching laws. Now, older black folks of a certain age, they look at that and like, oh, he is such a hero. He really helped us out there and all of that, right? But black folks, older black folks of a certain age, they just you forever are imprinted in our minds and in our hearts. But when we step back and we read about this dude, and it's all in the post, and I encourage you to read it. When you read about this dude, you know what his job was outside of the NAACP? Oh yeah, he was like one of the top board members of the NAACP. You know what his job title was? What his job was? Military intelligence. Oh, and it wasn't just military intelligence. He was part of military intelligence where they were focused on black movements. In other words, to monitor black movements. If there was anything that was going on, he was right there to write it down and to pass it on to Washington, D.C. That's why he was there. And the NAACP, what do? They want us to forget, to overlook that. We will just overlook that. They ain't just overlook it. They actually created an award, a merit award. See, that's why I got to slow down with some of this. Remember I was saying earlier, I just move fast on stuff, right? But I got to slow down because you got to make sure you're getting this. The highest award that you can give as an organization is a merit award, right? A merit award. The NAACP, their merit award, the NAACP supposedly is the front face of Black America, supposedly, right? There you go. So the NAACP, their merit award is named after a Jewish military intelligence individual. Their merit award, the Spingarn Award. And the thing is, not so much that he's Jewish, he was military intelligence. And as I just said in that clip, his responsibility was to infiltrate black organizations, to spy on them, and to pass on information to Washington, D.C. I mean, how dumb can you be? How dumb can you be? Who names an award from their organization after someone whose job it was to infiltrate you? I mean, can we even understand that? If you're sane, can we even put that into sense? That doesn't make any sense. But NAACP, they done figured it out, apparently. Apparently they're cool with it. So this is the foundation. This is the foundation of the NAACP. So with that being said, and so people like to say, oh, and he's not the only Jewish person that was on that founding board. It was some others as well. And they got funding from Jews in the area, right? And so the NAACP in of itself, this is their foundation. So when you go through over the years how they moved on certain topics and all of that, it all begins to start making a whole lot of sense. Yeah, they may speak on black issues, but they always tend to stay fixed or locked in on a particular political ideology. They always stay that way. And so anyway, I guess it was last night, NAACP had another one of their award shows, their participation award shows, and they were, giving out awards and all that. Sinners, of course, they gave a lot of awards to that movie. I haven't seen too many movies this year. I know for me, I saw the movie Sinners. I thought they did an excellent job. I mean, in terms of the storytelling, cinematography, the music, I actually do believe that, that is an award-winning movie. I thought they did a pretty good job with that. I saw it. I was very impressed with the storytelling and all of that. At first, I don't do, horror movies and Dracula movies and stuff like that. I don't do that. Even though this had vampires in it, it wasn't what you think it is. If you're one that's was like me, I don't be looking at no scary movies and all that. This one really, I wouldn't even say it was that. It was a lot, but it had that in there, but it wasn't really the main course, if you will. But I thought they did a pretty good job. But so anyway, so they started off, I would play the clip, but again, I don't know some of these people with the copyright stuff. So comedian Dion Cole, he gets up. And basically he starts off with this whole prayer thing and all that. And he starts saying this funny prayer about Nicki Minaj. Now, Nicki Minaj, as you know, she is on the Trump side. You got the Lord side and you got the Trump side. And so she's on the Lord side. Well, I mean, Trump side, sorry. and so, she's made that very clear. She's Team Trump all the way. Well, a lot of black folks didn't like that. Personally, for me, I didn't care less one way or the other. I just found it quite amusing because these same people on the conservative side were going off on Kamala for having the other girl on there twerking and all that stuff. But then when Nicki Minaj, who does the same thing, all of a sudden she's a Trump girl. Now all of a sudden all sins are passed away. Behold, everything is new. So I thought that was just amusing in of itself. And it just showed me just the ridiculousness of politics and how little they think of the greater people who do think. And so, but anyway, so because of her politics, if you want to call her politics is the bag. I mean, that's it at the end of the day. But because she has publicly said, I am Team Trump, now all of a sudden, Hollywood, they just had all kind of jokes lined up for her. They were talking about how she shaved and all this other stuff. I mean, just saying all kinds of stuff about this woman. And J. Cole and everybody else, not J. Cole, Dion Cole, I mean, they just had the jokes and it was looking at the audience and people were just cracking up and thought, oh man, this dude is funny, man. Let me turn this off. So it's all funny, right? And so what was it stood out to a lot of people is, Mr. Cole, you had a lot of jokes for Nicki Minaj, but they did do a documentary on somebody else that you may know. Sean Combs, you know him as Diddy. Yeah. That's him right there. Yeah, that's Cole and Diddy right there. Interesting, he didn't have any jokes for him. Interesting, nobody didn't bother to bring him up at all. Didn't even bother to mention him. And they just dropped a whole documentary on Sean Combs just this past year. Oh, and guess what? They had jokes for 50 Cent too. They had a lot of jokes for him. And the reason why, of course, is because 50 Cent was the one that produced the documentary. So here you go again. Here's Deion Cole again with his buddy. No jokes for him. Isn't this something how this all works out? No jokes. Let me see. There was another one too. Did I take a screenshot? There was another one. Anyway, this is Ty Diggs. This is another clip here. I don't know if you guys saw this one. Ty Diggs, and we'll get back on it. You know, he's dressed in a skirt. Got the suit jacket and the skirt. Yep, because men wear that all the time, right? It's very stylish, you know, skirt with your blazer. Anyway, and yeah, there were other pictures too. I had it. Did I have it? Do I have it on my phone? Let me see. There was another one. I might have taken a screenshot of it, but it was once again Sean Cole, J. Cole. Is this it right here? Hold on. Oh yeah, here it go. Here it go. Let me bring this. I'll bring this on the screen for you. This is Finder right there. Let's see. This is Deion Cole again. Check this one out. Thank you so much for my man Diddy. Your validation means the world, fam. It truly does. Thank you. Cold-hearted, streaming right now worldwide on Netflix. Now, isn't it interesting, because let's keep in mind that what was covered in that documentary, all of them Negroes at that Image Awards, they knew what Sean Combs was about. They knew this. It was an open secret. Everybody knew what he was about. They knew how he rolled. They knew how he abused people. They knew this. This is why you can't take these Hollywood people. I don't care if they're black, white. I don't care. You can't take them serious on any issue. You cannot. On politics, on religion, on family values, whatever it is, you cannot take any of these people seriously. You can't. Because for you to live in a space where, okay, back up. Many of you, some of you who are still working and you're not retired or whatever, right? You know, you go to your 9 to 5, you know, you got people in your job that you like, you hang out with, and you got some people it's like, oh, I'm not really cool with them. And then, of course, you got the office talk where you hear different things. Well, yeah, you know, he picks his nose or whatever, or, you know, don't you know she does this or whatever. And it's just some minor, you know, it's just office talk. It's really nothing. But we ain't talking about office talk here. We're talking about people getting, you know what, taken advantage of, abused, beat up, some cases murdered. But yet, he could get up and not say a mumbling word about Sean Combs, except all I got to do is go to, I guess this is Instagram. He's giving a shout out and saying, your validation means the world. Isn't this something? But he's not the only one. Like I said, the room, all of them knew. Everybody knew. NAACP knew what Sean Combs was about. But yet they had nothing to say about him. But they had all the smoke for Nicki Minaj. Again, I'm not really defending her because that's, let her stand on her own. But what I am pointing out is the hypocrisy in the fact that these people who will repeatedly tell you every time when Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday come up, you know, he said we should live in the world by the content of our character nonsense. Well, none of y'all are demonstrating that. None at all. None. If you know that women are being abused and you choose not to say anything, hold up. Not just women, black women. You got a room full of black women who know this dude is out here abusing other black women and they ain't saying nothing. But yet you got smoke for Trump. You got smoke for all these other people. And you want to get out here and cry about, 300,000 people died, lost their jobs and all that. But yet you got a full rapist in your midst and you ain't going to say nothing. You ain't got nothing to say. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Well, let's turn the dial a little bit more. Epstein. Hey, everybody's talking about Epstein these days. You even got some comedians out here that are talking about Epstein. But they ain't, far as I heard, far as I know, they didn't say anything about Epstein last night. Well, Epstein, he's just a white guy, and all that. But, he's Jewish and, whatever. But that ain't got nothing to do with us. Well, hold the phone a little bit because there was someone mentioned in the Epstein files. There was someone mentioned in the Epstein files. It was a little indie artist, small artist. I don't know if y'all heard of him. He calls himself Jay-Z. Yeah. Epstein was in the Epstein files. Jay-Z was mentioned. He was definitely mentioned in those files, and we actually covered that. Is this it right here? Oh, it's right here. It's right here. All right, things falling together good. Check it out. Right here, Epstein files. And there's a couple of Jews just, talking or whatever. You want to know why we are not Sao Paulo? Watch the TV ads on Super Bowl. On the Super Bowl is all about hip blacks and hip cars with white women. The group that should be in the streets has been bought off by Jay-Z. So that's the whole thing with them getting Jay-Z, to do the Super Bowl halftime and all of that. Yeah, that's what it was about. That was to shut down black folks because that was after the Black Lives Matter thing with, the guy taking a knee and all that kind of stuff. They had to shut up black folks. So they said, okay, let's get Jay-Z in here and shut up black folks. Jay-Z has been used by these people over and over again. We did a video where we actually talked about the stadium that they built in Brooklyn. You remember all of that? We talked about it in detail where Jewish investors used Jay-Z as the front guy. They started promoting Jay-Z as the owner. They said that he's the owner of the team. Then they moved it, and so they were getting black people excited that they're going to build this stadium in Brooklyn, in a section of town where you got a high population of black individuals that have been there for ages. So they needed a way to convince these black people to sell their homes. And fortunately, a lot of these black folks said, no, we're going to stand on business. We ain't doing that. We're going to stand on business. This is our home. This is our house. And so they said, okay, we need Operation Buy a Negro. So they got Jay-Z. And so Jay-Z, they first came out and was literally saying, I remember all this, they were saying that, oh, he's an owner of the team. Then they quickly turned that and they said, well, he's a part owner. And they was putting it all on billboards and everything else. Jay-Z, your homeboy, he's trying to bring this team here, is going to bring jobs to the community and all this other stuff, right? Well, anyway, fast forward, Jay-Z started getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. You ain't hearing nothing. And then after that, once the deal was made, the ink was dry, it was a whole wrap. You ain't see Jay-Z since. Meanwhile, you have black folks that done lost their jobs, been not only lost, they didn't find jobs, they couldn't even get a job, and many of them lost their homes. Jay-Z been on this stuff for a long time. And if the least we could do as black folks, we make fun of just about anybody, anything, anytime, anywhere, any place. But you couldn't find one joke about Epstein. You couldn't find one joke about Jay-Z. You couldn't find one joke. but you had all the smoke for Nicki Minaj. That tells you right there who's in control at the end of the day. And it ain't them. They're not in control. Someone's telling these people, don't you dare talk about our people, Negro. Stay in your place. We'll keep your pockets full and stay in your lane. And don't you dare put your mouth on us. And all of them collectively said, yes, a boss. That's what they did. So if you're looking at shows like that and you think that there's some kind of empowerment that you're getting from that there's some real empowerment, that's black excellence, you're only fooling yourself. You're only deceiving yourself. It's an illusion. It's not real. And so I thought that was quite interesting when I saw this play out. But like I said, because we on this platform, you and I, we know the history of the NAACP, it all makes sense. It all makes sense. All of these people are under the control of them folks. Anyway, let's move on. So anyway, the next news item we got is I'm so glad they people still online talking about that guy with Tourette's. They still talking about that dude. I'm like, man, it's over. It's over. It's over. Anyway, we've talked about it. If you're interested in our take on it, you could go back and look at it, but whatever. Man, it's a big whatever. Anyway, let's move on. Well, we got a big thing going on right now. I think they call it the war. There's a war going on in Iran now. Apparently, there's a war that's going on in Iran. And yes, so it is quite major. And someone did a very interesting post about it, and I want to share it with you. And because it ties in everything we've been saying, y'all, on this platform regarding the truth, what's really going on is regarding this war and all of that. And these are the things that people don't want to talk about. You know, not too many people anyway, they don't want to talk about it. But this one I thought was a pretty good kind of like summary that kind of lays it all out and what this war really is about here. As soon as I'm scrolling to it now, let me see if I can find it here for you. It is coming. You better come on and don't you play with me now. I probably just passed it, but let me just refresh it again and let me start at the beginning. If not, I do have another place I can go. Hold on. It is coming up. Hold on. Oh, here it is. There was a documentary too that I was interested in watching, and I was going to stream it here, and then and I said, I think it would be good if we all watched it together, because it really delves into something I said on my post on a community page. I said, if you think this is just about Iran, it's not. It's actually about the AI stuff that I talked about earlier, and I'll get into that in a moment. But anyway, let's go back here. So check this out. Check this out. Someone wrote this. I thought it was pretty good. It's spot on. All right. And so anyway, it's for this movie here, anyway. All right, now, attack Iran during Purim, the Jewish holiday celebrating the massacre of 75,000 Persians. Start the attack on the 11th day of the 9th month of the Muslim calendar. But sir, won't that cause people to reconsider who was responsible for 9/11? Do it. Make sure Purim coincides with the blood moon that peaks at 3:33 a.m. on 3/3. But sir, I know 3 is a highly significant number in the Jewish Kabbalah, symbolizing the third party ending an unresolvable conflict between the first and the second. Do it now. But have a Jewish journalist publish an article admitting how significant the symbolism is, and comparing Iran to Amalek. I know that's a mouthful there, but this is exactly what happened. And so with that, let me find that news article on CNN. CNN posted this, y'all. I mean, they just coming all out and just being very bold and just telling you exactly what they're about here. Let me pull this article up from CNN. CNN posted this, and because they wanted people to understand and know that this was in fact part of a religious war. This is a religious war, and it's a war that is being pushed by Zionist Jews. Zionist Jews are pushing this. All right. And this is going to loop into what we're going to talk about in a moment here, these black politicians. And here we go. I found it. And how they are linked in on this as well. Anyway, so here you got CNN. This is, it's not the whole article, but check it out. Timing of the U.S.-Israel attack on Iran bears symbolic meaning in Judaism. The timing of the U.S. and Israeli attack on Iran bears symbolic meaning in Judaism. Ahead of the upcoming Jewish holiday of Purim, worshipers read the specific portion from the Old Testament known as Zachor. And then it goes on. The passage from the book of Deuteronomy commands the ancient Israelites to remember an unprovoked attack by the nation of Amalek, also known as Iran in this case, and to eradicate the memory of Amalek once the Israelites are settled in their land. The passage is read publicly before Purim to fulfill the mitzvah of remembering Amalek as Israel's archetypal enemy. So, yes, so this war, 1,000% is a Jewish Zionist war. That's what it is. That's what it's about. And they have made this very, very, very clear. They made it very clear that this is what it's about. And so to see the United States government is in lockstep with it. And they've always been in lockstep with it. Like I said, again, in a little bit, I'm going to point to you. We're going to do a little bit of history. There's a couple of politicians and some ones that are running for office right now. I'm going to show you some things in their background and what they're doing as far as Israel's concerned. This first, that when I get to that part, some things that may shock you. I know I didn't know this. But anyway, let's continue. So here you have, let me take a look at my post that I did over on our community page here, because I want to make sure I covered everything regarding that. Like I said, again, we talked about it, and in it, I told you, I said, here's some things basically that you just, keep in mind, regarding this whole war situation. Oh yeah, here we go. So this is really quick, y'all. This is a quick rundown. I want you to take a look at this because, it just brings it all together for you. All right, so let's highlight all what took place right before the broadcast on Friday, talking about our broadcast. I said the Department of War declared that they were no longer going to work with Anthropic, which is Claude AI, due to their demand that A, it is not being used illegally for mass domestic surveillance, and B, fully autonomous weapons. You can actually read their response in to the government here, and I have the links. You can read that. Okay. Now, I found out later that, regardless of that, there are reports that the U.S. military did, in fact, still use Claude AI as part of this military operation that's going on right now over in Iran. So, so much for that. Anyway, so about an hour later or so, when Claude AI came out and said we're pretty much, it's at an impasse with the federal government, with the Department of War, about an hour or so later after that announcement, here we have Sam Altman of OpenAI, y'all know him as ChatGPT, announces a new contract with the Department of War. So they said, federal government says, screw y'all, we just go roll over to OpenAI, which I think was the plan anyway. All right. And so, Sam Altman, he gets up and says all this stuff. Hey, I know what they said. And we feel the importance of using AI in a responsible way and all this other stuff. Right. And so I said later that evening, then it was like, after I read that, it was like 30 minutes or so after I read that news about the whole AI stuff. Then I'm on X and they saying U.S. just started launching missiles in Iran. I was like, wow, that timing is quite interesting. And I say Israel is ultimately behind all this. They have been begging the U.S. to strike Iran for a very long time. And I give you all the dates there For all the times Netanyahu has gotten up and said that Iran is just weeks away from a nuclear bomb and all of that, going all the way back to 1995. So he's been pushing the United States to go into war in Iran. And for those of you who are wondering, well, why is it that they are so hell-bent on trying to wipe out Iran? Well, I'm glad you asked, because again, this is part of their Greater Israel project, where they believe that what we know is that little strip of land that we call Israel today, that's not all of Israel. Israel has to encompass Iraq, which the United States did what it did over there, and they install a puppet government. Now they're moved on to Iran. They're going to do the same thing over there. And then they're already talking about Turkey. Did you know that they're already talking about that Israel's next move is to start going after Turkey? And it was Turkey and Pakistan. Those are the two next governments that they're looking to topple, so that they can include all of that into their Greater Israel project. Okay. So anyway, so this is how they're rolling. I said, so followers of this platform, always try to look, we always try to look at these things from a more calming yet proactive way that as we can. So we don't want to contribute to the noise. In other words, there's a lot of people out there. I'm sure if you go to some of these Hebrew Israelite channels or some of these religious channels, I'm sure, I haven't even looked, but I'm very confident you're going to find some people up there talking about, oh, the Most High is telling me that this is it. Israel, get ready. And talking about Black Israel, get ready. It's all coming together. And this is it. This is the sign. This is the symbol. I had a dream the other day, and I saw a missile coming down, and the missile was speaking to me. And I said, what are you saying to me, missile? And the missile was saying, Netanyahu. That's what it was saying in my spirit. It's like, okay, whatever. So everybody's got a prophecy now. Everybody's got a prophecy. Okay. But anyway, so we don't want to feed into that. Okay. We're just going to look at this stuff very practically. I said, so here's some things we just saying here that, you should be mindful of. Number one, making a switch to having AI run our military is Skynet. Now, for those of you who don't know what Skynet is, I would encourage you to do what I did. Was it yesterday or day before? I sat down and I said, oh, this will be a great time for me to watch Terminator 3, which I did. And when I tell you, I so wish I could play you the clips, because it was word to word, bar to bar, exactly what I just described to you. You had an individual that said, listen, I have concerns about turning our entire military over to AI. There needs to be a real human in the mix. And then you had another side saying, no, bump that. We need to turn this thing over to AI, because there's a virus that's going on in the networks and all of that. And once we turn it over to AI, it's going to squash all of that. Well, you know how that turned out in Terminator. And we're literally living in that time right now. Do you understand? I want you guys to understand OpenAI, just how much it controls just in our society right now. If you think that OpenAI just controls your ability to go and ask questions and it gives you all these elaborate answers, it's way more than that. OpenAI, there's a platform, online merchant platform, Shopify. Shopify, pretty much the whole entire back end is tied into OpenAI. The millions of customers that are using Shopify right now, if AI right now, it could literally just zap out that entire platform just like that. Can you imagine the impact that will have on the economy? You have banks right now that use OpenAI. You have other platforms out here that use OpenAI. It's all over the place. Now, I use it too. I'm not gonna lie, I do use it. I find it be quite helpful. But I also know too that, hey, just be mindful of the things you share, but it's pretty much in it. If you're online, for the most part, you pretty much have, OpenAI is pretty much taking your stuff. I mean, it's just what it is. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, it's really no escaping it at this point. So it's Skynet. We're literally living in the age of Skynet right now. They tell you in movies and then they make it into a reality, and then you are still sitting up there scratching your head. Anyway, and I said, if you have any travel plans, this is just my own 2-cent advice that you didn't ask for. I said, domestically or internationally, I said, my advice would be to be very watchful over these next few months. not paranoid. Remember, they have told us on repeat for years that Iran would retaliate via terror cells in the U.S., which leads us to the shooting that took place down in Texas. We'll get to that in a moment. We just talked about how black churches have been lining up behind Israel, but at the same time, but the same also goes for most black politicians, which we're getting ready to talk about in a little bit. Again, even those who may claim that they do not take money from AIPAC, many of them still vote consistently for financing Israel. Then, of course, many of our entertainers all support Israel. I was thinking, I said, isn't it interesting, even that the bishop down in Atlanta at New Birth, you know, he always got a sermon for Trump. I'm just curious, did he do a sermon about Sean Combs? Did he call that out? Did he call out Sean Combs? Did he call out Epstein? Oh, he's got one for Republicans. He's got one for, he's got one for Trump and all of that. But it's funny that the biggest rapist out there, he doesn't have a sermon for them. I guess God don't really have anything to add to that situation. I guess his sermon. Anyway, we've been warning Hebrew Israelites. And you may say, whoa, that's left field, but it really isn't. It's funny how it all ties in together. I said, we've been warning Hebrew Israelites for years to get out of Dimona. Dimona is the location of Israel's nuclear weapons plant and also the location of the Village of Peace. This is where Hebrew Israelites, they have a place, they've been there since the 70s. And find it very funny that Israel said, okay, Negroes, and these were most of these people pretty much all come from, they're black Americans, and they relocated to Israel. Israel said, okay, you want to stay here, we're going to put you near a nuclear plant. So if something ever happened, you get it first. Well, guess what Iran's been targeting? The nuclear plant in Dimona. And you got all these black Americans that are sitting right there. Just, I don't know, but that's God's chosen place for them. Okay. Anyway, so that's that. And so those are some things I would just tell you, hey, you know what? Just keep your eyes on and ears open, just not telling you to be paranoid or anything like that, but definitely, keep your eyes and ears open over these next few months, I would say, because like I said, again, they have been telling us on repeat that something, that Iran was going to retaliate. And we don't believe that at all. It's not Iran. It's Iran is unless you spell Iran Mossad, it's not Iran at all. Iran, I believe, ain't moving like that. They're not moving like that at all. But Mossad has been. All right. Mossad is always behind all of this stuff, which leads us to this right here. So as you know, this was this just happened today. This is a person, African man. I forgot what country he's from, somewhere in West Africa, just down in Austin, Texas, I believe. Yep, Austin, Texas. And he goes on a shooting spree, and I think a few people got killed, if I'm not mistaken. Take a note of what he's wearing. Property of Allah. I mean, y'all. Now listen, I am far from being a Muslim. Okay? But I'm not going to put any blame on Muslims on this. I'm not blaming y'all on one bit on this. Not one bit. I ain't blaming Muslims on this at all. First of all, so when I was reading someone's post, they were saying that, first of all, you're dealing with Austin. It's like you can count the amount of black folks that are in Austin. So that's number one. Number two, you pull this off and then you're going to put a sweatshirt on that says property of Allah on it. And you got a nice picture of yourself with a gun, a nice size gun with military pants on. And we're supposed to sit there and believe that, oh yeah, this is Iran. They're mad now. Now they're doing this. It's not Iran, y'all. This is Israel doing this stuff. Israel's behind this stuff. They're always behind this stuff. And if you or anybody else believe that, yeah, someone said, and it's Ramadan too. Come on, man. It's Ramadan. You may not agree with Muslims on their belief system or whatever. That's way besides the point. They're not doing this kind of stuff. And you're black too, or African, in Austin. No. So, but needless to say, regardless if it's Muslims or Israel or whatever, that's besides the point. These people don't give two craps about you and your life. They don't. We've already seen what they did with 9/11. Now, if that wasn't a wake-up call for you, I don't know what it is. And for some of you who are still kind of like, well, I do think it was these Muslim guys that got together and they got on a plane and they decided, it was just all coordinated. And I don't even know what else to tell you. I don't even know what, because that's not even, because, it's a real, no, but it wasn't them. They did it. You have these buildings that came crashing down. When I tell you it was debris all over the place, And they just so happened to find, we got one of their passports. And then you got the other building that just kind of went down on its own. And the amount of stuff that they want us to believe. You got the people on the planes making phone calls at like 25,000 feet in the air. We can't even do that now. These people supposedly were making phone calls on their cell phones at 20-something thousand feet in the air. Our phones can't even do that right now. Once you understand how cell phones work, your phone can't work that way. It doesn't work that way. So there's all kinds of stuff that was going on. The art students that all just happened to be from Israel. And then when they were questioned, and then you had the dancing Israelis that, when the buildings came down, they were dancing and all of that. And then they got whisked away to Israel, and they're on national television in Israel. And they were like, well, we were just there to observe the event. What are you talking about? Oh, I guess you guys did know. So as you can see, this all ties into the same group. We talked about the NAACP earlier, right? We tied it, it's the same group. They're all tied in together. This world of imagination that we live in, it's all tied into the directors, the producers, and they're not you. They're not you. Anyway, let's, So I told you about that shooting. It's not a coincidence. None of this is a coincidence at all. What I will tell you is that, yes, I do believe you'll probably be seeing more of that. So again, I'm not here to tell you don't go shopping. Make sure you Uber everything and all of that. I ain't doing that. Okay, first of all, I don't do the Uber thing anyway, the Uber Eats stuff. Now, y'all may do that. I don't do that because I'm just too paranoid when it comes to my food. I don't want people spitting in my food. I want to watch as much as I possibly can my food. And so I ain't telling people to switch over to Uber Eats and get food delivered to your home, stay in your house because they might blow up your park and all of that. Nobody's doing that. But I am saying stay aware, stay alert. If you have some travel plan, just kind of keep that in the back of your mind, okay? Remember, we did a video a while back. We said, if you're in Walmart, I actually walked you through it. I said, if you're ever in Walmart, one of these days, just keep in mind of all the exits. Someone get in there, like, I'm going to shoot up everybody. You start hearing that. I don't care you playing or not. I'm cutting through the bakery, okay? I'm cutting through the bakery, okay? Well, you don't work here. I say, yeah, and I don't want to die here either. So you better open that back door up, okay? That's where I'm going. I'm going through the toy section. I'm going through I'm going through the automobile section, okay? The tire zone, if they have it. I'm going through that, okay? I'm going through the garden zone. I ain't going through the front door. Everybody tries to go through the front door when people start acting crazy. Don't do that. You got all them exits back there. Find yourself a blue vest or whatever and keep it pushing. Go in the back somewhere, okay? Don't be hiding behind the big thing with the balls in it. Nah, man. Get out of there. Okay, so we actually did a video. It was a while back we did. I was saying, okay, here's a place here, here's a place here. I walk people through. I said, listen, this is how you keep your head on a swivel. Just be mindful of that. So if you hear something, you know where to go. Don't be going out that front door. Anyway, so that's the world we live in. I'm just saying, these people don't care, and they'll go off on anybody. Just saying. All right, let's move on to the next thing here. I don't know. We got some interesting people here tonight. I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, let's see to the next final thing here. Hold on for a second. Okay, black politicians and how black politicians, how do they tie into all of this? Well, let's give you a little history lesson here. This is something I did not know, but I discovered this, was it today? Today or yesterday? This was an article that was written some time ago here, and let me pull it up for you here. It's right here. This was written back in 2021. Let's go ahead and get rid of these weirdos. Let's get out of there. And they gone. I don't know who these people are. Anyway, you go all the way going. All right. The name of this article here, I'll just bring this up to you, is this right here. The Shabbos Goyim, all right, a lesson of interfaith understanding from Colin Powell and Thurgood Marshall, all right, and let's see, and so I'll read what the someone posted in the post, and then we'll get to the article here. Say Colin Powell, Thurgood Marshall, and Obama were all willing participants in the humiliation ritual known as being a Shabbos Goy. They spent their weekends turning off lights, opening doors, doing chores, running errands for a few quarters from old Jewish men. Did you know that? Oh, yeah, wait, there's more. Anyway, here we go. Excuse me. The sad passing of Colin Powell has generated many loving accounts in Jewish media of his recollections, serving as a Shabbos Goy in his youth, when he assisted with tasks that were forbidden to observant Jews on the Sabbath. Kali, as his Jewish employer called the teenage Powell, told Jewish audiences that in addition to serving as a shepler in the Bronx infant goods store owner by an Orthodox Jew, he collected a quarter each Friday night for turning off the lights at the synagogue. And so again, what it is that there are certain actions, as you guys know, that Jews who observe the Sabbath, they're not allowed to do, like running electricity, going certain places, all that stuff. There's very strict guidelines. And so for some of those things that need to be done, but they're not able to do it because of their own law, then they'll get a Gentile, someone they considered a Gentile, to do it. And so in Colin Powell's case, he was one of those guys basically running around and turn off the lights for the Jews, and they give him a quarter for it. Anyway, and then they look back so like, oh, wow. Anyway, I began by telling Marshall, talking about Thurgood Marshall, that I was an Orthodox Jew who observed the Sabbath. Since the holidays were approaching, I thought I had better mention those too. So I continued. In addition to Saturdays, I can't work on Jewish holidays, and they are coming soon. First, there is Jewish New Year, Rosh Hashanah, and then comes the holiest day of the year, Yom Kippur. At this point, the judge interrupted. Yes, and then there's Sukkot, Shemini, Atzeret, and Simchat Torah. I almost fell over. That's right, I said, and I added, but how did you know that? Easy, Thurgood Marshall replied. I grew up in a Jewish neighborhood in Baltimore. In fact, I made some money by turning off lights in homes there on Friday night. They get them when they're young, y'all. Your black superheroes, they get them when they're young. Barack Obama, your black Lord and Savior. Here's another one. In 1999, while still in the Illinois State Senate, he shared an office suite with Ira Silverstein, an Orthodox Jew. Obama peppered Silverstein with questions about Orthodox restrictions on daily life, the kosher laws, and the sanctions against certain kinds of behavior on the Sabbath. On the Sabbath, if I ever needed anything, Barack would always offer, remembers Silverstein. Some of the doors are electric, so he would offer to open them. I didn't expect that. You guys, these your black superheroes. These your black superheroes. And to hear about Negroes out here so proud of that, I used to open the doors for them. I mean, do you hear this? Thurgood Marshall, do you know how black folks just make him into a mountain of a man? And here he is being mentioned in an article saying, I used to turn off the lights for them. And they gave me a whole quarter. I'm telling you, I think many of us will be in total shock and awe if we were to really begin to get into these circles that you think that these people are all of that. The stuff that they brag about. Wow. That's wow, isn't that something? They bragging about opening up doors for Jewish people, turning on and turning off lights, holding up the, wow, that's something. Anyway, move on. Almost finished here, y'all. I thought that was just something. Anyway, moving on. And so you got people who are out here, you know, as far as like Trump, his decision going into war and all of that. And people are like, oh, you know, all the 92%ers are out in full force, reminding everybody about, Kamala, if I voted for her, I'm just going to let everybody know that I voted for Kamala. I voted for her. I didn't vote for this. We tried to tell you, as they keep bringing up that irritating, tired AI the image. The AI image of you got the black women on the rooftop. You remember we also did a video on that. I don't know if you guys remember that. This is if you've ever seen that image, I want to, and you know what I'm talking about. Let me just give you the quick backdrop on that. Yes, it's AI. But this is the 92% women. If you ever needed proof of everything I said, that this was an anti-black male campaign. If you ever needed proof, look no further than this image. Okay, you're gonna like this if you didn't remember that video. Long story short, that AI image, if you look in the corner, you'll see somebody's signature. Well, that signature is of a black woman, and she was passing this along. Well, I could look at the image. I was saying this is an AI image. Who puts a signature at the corner of an AI image and pretends that they made it? Well, it wasn't. And so I saw right through that. I was like, but I wonder who really made this image. Well, anyway, long story short, the image is based off of a real painting of a black man who was, in fact, himself a pro-Kamala person. He was pro-Kamala. But the 92%ers took his image, ran it through AI, put their signature on it, and took full credit for it. So the next time you see that image, now you know. Now you know. And the fact that people don't even bring that up is just really fascinating. I mean, look it up. Look up the story. Like I said, again, look through our channel. I did a video on it. I talked all about it. But anyway, the 92%ers are out here wanting to remind us that if everybody would have just listened to them, everything would have been so much better. If everybody would just listen to them, we wouldn't be at no war. Well, history is always something. This is why we always stand on receipts. Do you guys remember in the time of Israel, they have Kamala saying, Harris to Jewish voters, all options are on the table to stop Iran from going nuclear. Isn't it interesting? This is why we ask. You remember how we were just saying over and over and over again to people? We kept saying over and over again to people. We kept saying, what is her policy? What is her policy as it pertains to Black Americans? Oh, you just trying to be all uppity and smart. You think you know everything for asking for policy. How dare you ask for policy? I said, well, I'm just wanting to know what's her policy when it comes to Black folks, because the only video that I see of her giving a policy for Black people is the one she says she ain't gonna do anything specific for Black people. But somehow if I mention that, you get mad. Well, don't get mad at me, get mad at her. But they don't want to get mad at her. They get mad at you for saying that. So now they want to play amnesia again, still showing that they don't really prioritize policy, they prioritize color. This woman is a whole Indian for the most part, but yet she became 100% Black because she was a AKA or whatever. But here she's saying here in the pre-election high holidays call, U.S. Vice President says diplomatic solution still preferable to keep Islamic Republic from the bomb. Charges Trump won't stand by Israel. So she's saying in this article that if Trump ain't gonna stand, you get me in there, I'm gonna stand even harder than Trump. Harris suggested that Trump would not stand by Israel. She noted that in 2020, she chose not to retaliate when Iran fired missiles at U.S. bases after Trump ordered a strike that killed a top Iranian military commander. When Donald Trump was president, he let Iran off the hook. Ain't that something? Anyway, let's move on to the next image here. I'll find someone asking about that image. I'll find it a little bit for you, okay? I'll find it a little bit for you. Kamala Harris says Iran is the greatest adversary of the U.S. Democratic presidential candidate says preventing Iran from acquiring a nuclear weapon is one of her top priorities. Isn't it amazing how people just don't remember any of that? But no, we got to get a black face in there. Black faces in high places, they're always for us. Of course, you always know they're for us. We get a black face in high place, they're always for us. Let me see. Let me find this just for this person. Let's see, image, rooftop. Oh, no. I think I know. Yeah, because it's going to take forever if I look for it. Hold on. Let me see. If I'm going to try to find it just for you. Oh, here it go. Just for you. Just for you. I found it for you. You must be special. Here you go. This is it. You remember, have you seen this? This is the image. Nikki Free. You see on the top left-hand corner, there's a signature right there. Well, this is a woman. This is a real woman that took credit for this image. But this was actually a painting from a man. A black man made this painting. She ran it through AI just enough, just to tweak it just a little bit so she could take credit for it. You want to tell us that these folks were, they really had black men's interests at heart? Man, get out of here. Well, gay black men, they did. Gay black men, they did. Trans black men, they did. But black men, no, not at all. Anyway, last one here for the evening, and then we're just going to wrap this up. Last one, this, we always save the worst for last. This is y'all favorite girl, Jasmine Crockett, And you can vote for however you want to vote. Y'all, I really don't care. Not losing any sleep over any of these fools at all, because at the end of the day, we all know who they're controlled by, and they are not controlled by black folks. Okay, so that's just a fact right there. So you want to get all hooked up in getting a black face in high places and think that's going to work for you. Keep dreaming and keep wasting your life. Anyway, Jasmine Crockett was recently in an interview with a black woman who I was very shocked and surprised that she, first of all, even asked the question, but also number two, she actually pressed her on this question. And so I want to play this video for you, and I want you to take note of how Jasmine Crockett, how she actually responded to this reporter here. Take a listen here.
But there was something that you said. You said that the relationship between the United States and Israel has existed long before you were born, I was born, and will exist long after.
Yeah.
But why does that have to be the case?
Yeah.
You know?
It's a valid.
It's valid, but I also want to frame it like people like you and myself. The United States has had a relationship with a lot of things: racism, sexism, homophobia, and we fight against those things every day, fight to cut those ties every day. So why does it feel like this relationship with Israel has to prevail?
I'll tell you this, that right now, because this at least has been publicly stated, right now we have allies that are not sharing information with us because they don't trust us to be able to hold on to that information in a safe way. Obviously, we've seen what's happened with Signalgate, that kind of stuff. But I will tell you that Intel has always been very important to the United States. And so that's...
Okay. Well, let's move on to something.
Literally the biggest non-answer. What did that even mean? What did that even mean, y'all? What did that even mean? What did that even mean? And and I'm telling you, they think thinking black people gonna not pay attention to that. What does that even mean? Now, she can get out here all day and all night and talk about and say how much she doesn't support AIPAC and all that. Like I said, that's the big lie right there, where, okay, she may not get money from AIPAC, but she is getting money from people who are pro-Zionist and Democrats by and large. And like I said, again, don't assume that I must be I'm a Republican, because I'm not that either. Didn't vote for them either. Okay. But both sides really are very much pro-Israel. Both sides are. Okay. So make no mistake about it. And us as black individuals, we should especially take very strong interest in that topic, in that issue, because Israel has made it very clear, and it's a clip I played even the other day. They said that one of their greatest problems that they have in America is with black American youth. They said that. We also talked about some of these other things as well, that Israel has made a special point to target black Americans on many issues. We talked about in the area of pornography. We talked about in the area of sports. We talked about the area of even entertainment. I went through the whole list, and they forever stay on it. We did a story just the other day. We talked about how, the Church of God in Christ is working with Zeus Network. And if you know anything about Zeus Network, it is full of garbage and trash that is targeted towards black Americans, and it is funded by Jewish individuals. So these people have no interest in us at all. In fact, and there's many other things I could share with you right now, but like I said, again, I'm looking at my time. We're going quite a bit here, but I just remembered this other video here. Again, I told you other black people are taking notice, and they are holding these black politicians to task. Here's the last video I will play for you of another such individual who's doing just that. Take a listen to this one. Watch this.
Hi, Melissa. Hi. Good to see you. Thank you so much for putting on this fair today. My honor. I know you're also running for election. I am. And there's a question that I know a bunch of us will be really helpful for us. Yes. I know that you've taken about $3 million from AIPAC. I don't know if it's $3 million, but that's fine. Well, yeah, about. And I'm just wondering, will you deny that funding and prioritize Chicagoans instead of folks who are like prioritizing foreign governments?
That's a question that you and I won't be able to talk through today. But
Okay.
I'm certainly willing to talk through it. I appreciate your passion.
Okay.
Where do you live?
In your district, actually,
Mm-mm.
in Chicago. But I'm also wondering, how can we believe that you'll fight for us if you're also taking money from folks who support Trump?
Good to see you.
How can we know that? How will we know that you'll fight for us?
If you want, we can talk. We can have a conversation. Would you like for me to set up
To
something
schedule
with you?
one?
Yeah.
Sure, but do you have an answer for that right now?
But I do want to walk around for this job fair right now, just to make certain that I get to the people before my next thing. But I would love to have a conversation.
I understand that, but it's
Okay.
a question of
Come on,
yes or no if you'll deny that funding. Will you deny that funding? Or will you keep it?
Dan, I wanted to make certain that I was able to get to that table over there that wanted to.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it's really important for Chicagoans who
Well, there you go. There you go. There you go. So I'm glad to see that, yeah, more and more black people are seeing the connections with all this, Epstein and, what Trump, his administration, but not just Trump and his administration, but also Democrats are very deep in the pockets of Zionist Jews. They're very deep in it. Both sides are. And when you look at it, when you got black people over and over and over again making these demands, that y'all need to really care for us. You gotta care for us. We need people that look like us in government and all this other stuff. And then you get the people who look like you, and you find out they are being controlled by these individuals here. Well, I don't want to play with I want to go to the man behind the curtain. And that is what you're starting to see more and more black people begin to demand, is that we need to start looking at the man behind the curtain. And that is what we're going to continue to do here, is ask questions. And we're going to look at the facts as they are. And they can do whatever they want. But in the meantime, the truth is going to be told, at least here on this platform. So again, we got a lot of stuff here we covered here. Really appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much, as always, for tuning in. And really appreciate that. And let's see here. We're going to get rid of somebody else here. We've got some crazy people here tonight. I don't know where they're coming from or whatever, but we're here and we're going to continue. But they ain't going to stop us from telling the truth. How about that? So thanks again for tuning in, you guys. Listen, if you got any questions or so, make sure you could just put them in the comment section. And that's it. We'll see you next time in our next broadcast. Talk to you again soon. See you soon. Take care.